Hello and welcome back to a new series, Gaming with Glass. I'll be playing a different game for each episode and then take inspiration from that to make glass items. And so the first game is Tetris, and the first item, a 4-block necklace, which is one of the 7 different blocks that fall from the top of the screen. I can use the directional pad to move them around and the buttons to rotate them back and forth. It's sort of like a puzzle. I need to fill in the empty spots without leaving any gaps. I can even slide in a piece to fill in that gap before it's placed. But it's best to look at your next piece and plan ahead before you place your current one. And once you've placed enough blocks to form a full line, it will clear off the screen and give you points. And to get the most points, you want to clear as many lines as you can at the same time. That's where the 4 block comes into play. Clearing 4 lines at once will give you the most points possible. And the more lines you clear, the faster the game goes. And so you want to focus on those higher point moves before the game is moving too quick for you. Now moving back to the necklace, I gathered up some white glass shaped a rectangle, but I'll have to add a little more. It's a bit short.
Well, here we go. Comes the 4 block, or 4 clear.
I received an extra 1,000 points to my score, which is what you get for the lowest level. But as you go higher, it begins to multiply that amount. And so I'm using my graphite paddle and marver on the desk to flatten both sides at once. I'll rotate it 90 degrees and push again to get 4 sides, make it squared. It has to be warmed up glowing orange to be moved around. That's how you know it went from solid to liquid. I'll start drawing on some lines with a blue rod of glass to make the little boxes.
There we go.
I accidentally left a gap in my puzzle, and I can't slide another piece in there. And so I'll just have to complete the lines above it until the gap opens up so I can fill it back in. And once I place this one down, I'll be able to use that hole again. This is actually my first game in probably over a decade. I didn't play this much when I was younger. We had the Nintendo, but I was more interested in the action games. Mario, Duck Hunt, Dig Dug. It really wasn't until later when I could emulate it on the computer that I got into Tetris. I'm not sure what my high score was, but I think I got up to level 8 or 9 when it starts going real fast. Which is one of the topics I was planning to discuss for this video. Practice and getting faster. You might wonder, would it be better to bulk all my time into one practice session, maybe 7 hours a day, once a week? Or spread it out more evenly, 1 hour a day, 7 days a week? For me, I feel more in favor of the latter, spreading my practice time more evenly. I've had a lot of times I would get past a challenge pretty easily just by coming back the next day. Then again, if I spend too much time away between practice sessions, I feel like I just regress a bit of my skills. Of course, this can be applied to more than just video games, maybe sports, music, art. And so you might have noticed the level changes every 10 lines cleared, and changes in color as well. Which is why I chose a cobalt blue for the necklace, since there's so many blue-toned levels. And now that it's finished, I'll use a clear rod to start melting on the loop. The loop is the section which you string your cord or chain through to hold on to it. I'll attach my glass rod to one edge, pull it out and loop it around, and attach to the other side, leaving a small hole in the middle. And of course, now that you understand the significance of the 4-line clear, it just makes sense to do a 4-block necklace. But I'll also be making an oil lamp as well, in the shape of the T block, which is my second favorite. I'll come back with the brass reamer to open the hole up and the mini jacks to shape it into a square. I thought a square loop would be a nice added touch for a square block. But now, what can Tetris do for you, besides being a fun little game? I do believe some games like these can develop what's called hand-eye coordination, possibly help with planning or critical thinking, and improve reaction times to environmental stimuli, such as driving a vehicle and having to respond more quickly to random animals and other drivers, which might not be true for every game, but for a simple one like this, I believe it is. Now with the 4-block necklace complete, I'll start on the T-block oil lamp by cutting down this 26 by 4 borosilicate tube. I'll wash off the silica dust and then start flaring out a 12 by 2 tube for a blow tube attachment. The flare will help it match the diameter of the larger tube and help keep it from collapsing in the flame as well. I'll heat up both ends of the tubes to a liquid state and then bring them together. Both sides will flow together like water and become one solid piece of glass. You can see my Tetris blocks are flowing a little more quickly as well as I'm advancing up the levels. I'm still pushing down on the directional pad, which causes them to descend even faster. This will give you some bonus points, however, not nearly as much as a 4-line clear. So slowing down and planning ahead can prove to be a better strategy. And now that I have my tube closed up, I'm gonna heat up the end, blow it out, melt it back, and then blow it out again. As I move around the glass like this, it should help even out the wall thickness. And using my graphite paddle, I can push and flatten the sides more into a square. And now this kind of shaping process is a lot easier to do with solid glass than with hollow. Not only am I shaping the outside, but it's shaping the inside as well as I'm pushing the glass in. And so the walls might become a bit uneven. Another method would be to make a mold in which you can stick the glass into and blow, and then it'll take shape of the inside. But there's usually multiple ways to get to the same end. So that's why I focus a lot on the basics, the principles of flame working, and a little bit less on the techniques and tools. Things like heat control and understanding how the glass likes to move around in certain situations. And so I can help guide you down the right path, but it does take practice and dedication. Just like Tetris or any other game, I can teach you how it's done, how to play it, but that doesn't help you develop the skills. I'll go ahead and flare out another blow tube to attach to the end. That way I can work on the other side and finish the shaping. And now, if you're enjoying this video so far, make sure to share it with your family and friends. That's really the best reward any artist can ask for, is a great audience. And I am thankful for the viewers I have already. Some have been watching for years now. I also appreciate the comments. It brings me a lot of joy to hear people starting their own studios, beginning their own glass journeys. And it doesn't necessarily have to be glass. It's just good to have a creative outlet to find your own potential. One cool feature of the game is once your puzzle gets 3/4 full, the music speeds up, giving you that sense of urgency.
Just fine.
When the blocks reach the top of the screen, the game is over. If you've gotten a high enough score, you can put your name in. and then compete against your friends and family to see who can get the highest. However, once you turn the Nintendo off, it wouldn't save the score. I'm getting ready to do another blow tube attachment on the side. This will line up my blow tube with the next area I'm going to work on, which is the opposite side, to start forming the shape of what I call the T-block. I'll have to add some extra glass as well, or else if I just blow out that side, it'll start getting very thin. I want to keep my wall thickness nice and even all around the vessel. And now, here is day 3 of my practice. I was getting better, it was becoming easier to play. On average, my scores were a bit higher, and I did get to a much higher level as well. I did develop some strategies that seemed to be working. But I feel one of the most important parts was memorizing the pieces. Being able to recognize those negative spaces where they fit without having to rotate them. But then it's good to keep in mind I am planning ahead by one piece as well. And so I'm focusing on 2 different negative space shapes. But you can see at these speeds where the game might be beneficial to a person's reaction speed. And I don't claim to be a Tetris master, despite the end screen saying so. I've seen others playing level 9 with ease. And so it's better just to play and enjoy the game, and instead of competing with others, compete against yourself. That way you can set more reasonable goals, like getting to a higher level, or just getting on the scoreboard to put your name. I didn't know about this. I didn't think I had a rocket before when I played it. This must be my highest score yet. And on day 5, I got a little higher of a score and a bigger rocket.
A rocket.
My last game here on day 7, with the oil lamp complete, I decided to place it on top of my Tetris game cartridge for good luck. You can see I'm still working on it as well. I've added the extra glass and I'm starting to blow out a small cavity. I already blew a little too hard and popped it once. And so I'm closing up that hole and trying again. I'm also wearing the 4-block necklace. I've been wearing it around town all week and it feels pretty good. A heavier piece can get a little cumbersome. So a lighter one like this, you tend to forget you're wearing it. But don't forget to hit the subscribe button, as you don't want to miss the next Gaming with Glass episode. It's gonna feature an ultra-fast character, one who collects gold rings, and is searching for the Chaos Emeralds. You guessed it, Sonic the Hedgehog. I'll be starting off with the original Sonic from the Sega Genesis, and crafting some glass items inspired from that as well. And so if there's any games that you would like to see, go ahead and leave them down in the comment section. I do have a few games planned out already, but it wouldn't hurt to have some suggestions for later. But now that I have the top square blown out to the thickness I like, I'm gonna start shaping it. I'm using the bottom squares as a reference and a guide for the paddle, so it's making it quite easy. But if you're finding Tetris to be too easy, you can increase the starting level or try out B mode. You only need to complete 25 lines in B mode, but you can start the puzzle off half of it full with random blocks and empty spaces. And so you basically have a lot less room to work with. And with only 25 lines allowed to clear, you have to make every move count. Besides that, it doesn't increase in speed like mode A. So you can set the level to 0, extra lines to 0, and technically it'll be a slightly easier game. But now that I have the top block shaped, I'm gonna pull out a little bit of extra glass to make it easier to blow out a hole. And this isn't just removing glass, but I'm actually pulling the inside cavity forward. This helps thin the area, making it easier to blow out a small hole. I'll hold that area right to the edge of the flame and continually apply pressure until it pops open. I'll be using this hole for my glass wick, the capillary candle. However, I'm afraid with the height of the vessel, if I turn it, the wick will end up falling into it. And so I'm gonna heat around the hole and then push it down into the vessel. I don't want to heat the hole itself or else it's gonna ream it open. I also need to be careful with my Tetris puzzle as I'm not getting any 4 blocks. If I don't fill that gap in with something else, I might lose if I just blindly follow this 4-block strategy. And that's where the critical thinking comes in. You not only have to make strategies and plan ahead, but you have to be ready to abandon those plans and come up with something better. And now Tetris here is a very simple example, but there are games out there where you do have to develop very advanced strategies. Oh, and there it is, just in time. Ooh, wow. The heat from the vessel just ignited the oil, which was left in the wick. I was thinking of grabbing a dry one, but I thought it was just gonna evaporate, not really explode. And as cool as that was, you always want to be careful with combustibles. Better safe than sorry, as they say. But now I flattened the bottom and it seems to be standing upright. I'll remove the punty and put it in the kiln to anneal at over 1,000 degrees Fahrenheit for 3 hours. And then drop it down back to room temperature over the course of 8 hours. The glass doesn't like to rapidly change temperature from hot to cold, and so the annealing will dissolve all the stress that I put in from the shaping process, and the slow cooling will keep it from creating stress as it gets back to room temperature. But now I want to get it into the kiln and out of these claws before it cools down too much. Taking too much time to look at it before it's in the kiln, it can be kind of a rookie mistake. And now you'll see the oil won't actually drip into the vessel as there's no room for the air to escape. It has a lot to do with the small hole and the viscosity of the liquid. And so I can either squeeze oil in, which will push the air out, or I can suck the air out, which will pull the oil in. And now I'm not gonna make a wick for this lamp as I have plenty of them already. You can check out my capillary candle video to see how they're made. And now that I've gotten to level 8, I'm starting to make some mistakes. I really haven't practiced this higher speed that much. I'm not sure how much longer I can keep this going. And that's the end. I got 100,000.
Yes!
And that's the biggest rocket I've gotten yet. Very cool. And so I hope you've enjoyed this first episode of this new series, Gaming with Glass. Next up will be Sonic the Hedgehog. So make sure to hit the subscribe button so this one doesn't speed right past you. Your host here, Matt Jasa, reminding you to stay melty.